Hey guys, it's Ken. Last week, the Act Man released a video called Why AI Will Ruin Gaming. He has some good takes in there, but he started the video off with what I think is an emotional blockade against reality, and one that we're seeing across lots of people. He shows off Oasis, which is a next frame generation model for video. It is not meant to be a game, it is meant to be a stress test for predictive reactive video generation. In its current form, it does represent a game, Minecraft. As a Minecraft clone, yes, it sucks, and it has issues and sometimes your buildings will reshape themselves. But it is not meant to be a game. When the Act Man and hundreds of other people ask, why would anyone waste their time making a shitty version of Minecraft, they're missing the point.
The best way to describe this is to refer to the start screen, not intended to provide an entertainment experience. Clearly! So what the fuck was the intention? Let's see if a robot can make a shittier version of Minecraft. Congratulations, it can. I don't know what you proved. It's also so bizarre to try to make a knockoff of Minecraft because Minecraft's worlds are already procedurally generated by an AI. Look at this shit. This is just pixelated nonsense. What value was there in creating and releasing this in such a state?
So you might be asking, if this isn't meant to be a game, why is it Minecraft? That's because games are the most intensive form of video. To put it simply, videos are a series of images, and games are displayed as a series of images. But where videos are a set series of images, games are a rendered representation of internal state and external manipulation. So if you're trying to train a model that generates video as the next frame is requested, you have two methods. An interpretive training where a single frame or prompt is given and the model should create the next X frames of its own creation, or a set starting point where the model generates frames as inputs are given to it dynamically. Option 1 is great for an artificially creative model, but that's not what they're trying to do here because that's actually the easier thing to do. Option 2 is much harder, because in the same way that games were limited in scale due to the requirements to store and process data, AIs are limited in scale because the more inputs and past frame context established means that they have a higher failure rate. And just this weekend, Microsoft released a similar next frame generation model trained on Quake 2, Muse, which is even more impressive if you ask me. It runs like shit and enemies disappear quite often, but compared to the Oasis model, it is reaching for a much higher standard. This technology, to generate video frame by frame as a response to historical context and immediate input, is an insane step in the future of optimizing creation. Animators and video editors. Think of how much easier it is to animate movements using keyframe interpolation. Now imagine that instead of adding keyframes and adjusting the splines, you establish the start and end states and tell the AI the process it should take between those two states. The AI then creates an advanced interpolation by actually generating the frames in between. At excellence, to achieve even the longest of animations, you would need two things, a beginning state and a descriptive prompt. That is amazing, and we will likely never reach excellence in AI, so you will still be required to understand the keyframes and the splines and have an eye for why something doesn't look realistic or match the style you're creating. You still have to be a creator. But as we approach excellence in AI, the amount of work required for you, the creator, to actually get something done decreases. And you can decree that the joy of creating is in the fine details of making everything yourself. That's fine, and more power to you. You can open Photoshop and draw every single frame yourself. Or you can take out 1,000,000 sheets of paper and draw it there. And you can spend years of your life creating a single thing. But do you really need to? Machines are tools. In some cases, they are used to replace you, and in other cases, they are used to improve you. This simple video would not be possible without the same line of thought that led to Oasis and Muse. And now I have to address the replacement topic. Are Oasis and Muse meant to replace game developers? No. Could the technology being developed here be used to create games in the future? Yes. Are there going to be companies out there that use generative AI to create assets and design, feed that into a model like this, and sell it as a full game? Undoubtedly. There are also going to be individuals doing the exact same thing. But are game developers entirely going to be replaced? No. Game teams will likely be smaller, but will that be done because they're replaced by AI? Depends how you look at it. Tools like these and other AI productivity assistants will increase the amount an individual can do in the same amount of time. And if games stay the same size they are, that means you don't need the same amount of people to get the same amount done. And games, like most artistic products, start with small teams and scale up with intent to as they need. Games don't start with teams of thousands of people. They start with a handful and bring in more as needed and as can be justified. If AI tools mean that the number of people needed decreases, then less people will be brought into the team. And if you hold the opinion that AI is slop and you'll never support any games that use it, good. Stand your ground. Don't buy these games. Don't play them. Slash them on the internet and tell your friends not to buy them. That's your right as an individual. But if we're going to discuss tools like Oasis and Muse for their impact on the gaming industry, we have to be reasonable about it. We have to take them at face value. These tools are not garbage. They are not evil. They are not a way to crush poor indie developers and remove game development teams. People do those things. People like Bobby Kotick. Don't send hate to the people trying to advance our technological ability. Send hate to the people that use our technological ability to do things you think are evil. Because the only way we can keep making good games in the advent of generative AI and whatever comes after it is by being true to the facts and holding people accountable, not technology. Bye.